Get started here. There we go. I'd like to call to order a special meeting for Lafayette Township Board of Trustees and Fire District. Today's Monday, August 18th at 6:30 p.m. The notice requirements of section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code and the implementing rules adopted by the board pursuant thereto were complied with for the meeting. Hold on. Taking a battery break. I just heard it beep. Alright. Hey. Good thing we got the plug.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna work. Double A's don't fit in a triple A.
Oh, well, there we go.
Alright. We're plodding.
That one's on.
We're plodding. Okay, good. Sorry about that. Roll call.
Paroli here. O'Neill here.
Fullerton here. Can stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We do have a number of things that we wanted to discuss as a board tonight. I don't know if there's really any order, so whatever is here on the agenda, I guess is fine. So you guys want to finish the budgets that we started the other meeting?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Sherry had sent out, she did it herself and sent it out. You want to just kind of use hers as a base, or I mean, unless there's something, you know, we don't like about it or whatever.
I'd say we start with that as
Okay.
the basis. You want to start with Township first or
Sure.
Fire District?
Let's start with fire.
Fire
That's
district.
what we did
Fire's
last
good.
time.
Yep, fire's good.
So we had originally discussed $790 in salaries and $450 in expenses. Sherry broke that down kind of as needed in more detail. Thoughts?
Yeah, there's 150 on page 2 for fire protection salaries.
Yep.
And then there's 600 on page 3 for emergency medical services salaries.
Yep.
Or other.
Right.
And then that's 750. The other 40, I don't know if it's the biggest deal in the world right now, but is that basically made up by the,
Yeah,
Probably
probably
open
will
up.
that's what it says for 26.
Yeah, you had 150 listed for salaries under fire protection and 600 under medical services, as
Just
trustee
cross them out.
mentioned, but
Yeah, I probably just overlooked that, trying to get it done.
because the total numbers outlined are 1.21, which is
right in what
yeah.
we were. I'm definitely okay with this for.
yeah.
Yeah, just highlight or,
Estimate,
just
but-
one of you give me a copy back, and then I'll give it back to you, just so I can reference it.
Okay.
I didn't see any adjustments that needed to be made from there based on what we discussed and kind of the breakdown is and again, this is, you know,
It's in the
just
general fund, are you talking about?
Yes.
Yes,
Correct.
for fire, yeah.
Alright. Yeah, I seen it was in there before, and I don't know, it picks up numbers on its own if you don't, like, totally go line by line very slowly. So I don't need copies, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
Okay.
yeah. And then the only other thing that we discussed that wasn't included in here was just the breakdown for the bond fund, but I mean that's pretty much
Right.
interest payment in
435.
July. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
So if everybody is okay, I would make the motion to approve the tax budget for fiscal year 26 as submitted.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. Okay. Over to the township. Township.
We just did fire department.
Oh, that was,
Yeah.
oh,
Right.
that's why, but there's a fire protection in the general fund on the township side too, that's why I was questioning that, okay. But that was old, I mean, it's hard to.
Yeah, that was one of the funds that
Yeah.
we talked about
Yeah.
deleting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, that kept popping up, that's what I thought we were talking about.
I mean, the breakdown, again,
The bond fund isn't in the computer as far as the budget in there when I was looking for it.
Really?
It didn't, yeah, I don't think let me look at that. It's on the, there was a problem with that one, let me look at it Friday. Or later on tomorrow, yeah.
on the, general though, let's see here.
So we have, almost 498,000 in total expenditures. This is the township general,
Right.
and then
We'd originally discussed what, like 375?
375.
Well, your numbers that you guys gave me were already lower than what this numbers were for this year, and I'm thinking,
Right,
so I'm like, well, I can't make that work. So that's why what I put the email to you guys was it was already,
so.
you had to
let's
do what I had to do, nothing's gonna go down.
in our last meeting, I think, wasn't there one outlier that we couldn't?
There
we At the
was.
time, we didn't know why it was higher.
I'm guessing it's, contracted services
Probably.
on page 3, because if you look 23 and 24, that was generally in the like $15,000 to $20,000 range. Last year it jumped to 89,000. And I'm wondering if we had taken something out of general, whether it was for any of the town hall stuff, any of the other projects that we,
Oh, it was this year, actually.
or that's your,
jumped.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's true.
this year, right.
But I mean, that makes up the bulk of the difference.
Right.
Correct.
I can do a, payment register based off that appropriation line item and see what you've been paying that out of. Why it's such a big number.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I do think that that's probably the better way to set the tax budget up of, again, this is kind of just for, we'll do a detailed spending budget
Right.
closer to the end of the year when we're getting ready to do appropriations for next year.
Right.
This is more just a high-level guidance
Correct.
to express need to the county for the certificate of resources.
So you wanna lower that 80?
I'd be fine keeping it as Sherry's broken it down here.
As we are though now, we're projected to spend more than we bring in. It's not a huge difference, and we will expect to carry over, but nonetheless, about $10,000 more.
I think, and it may shock you to hear me say this, but I think to overstate what we may spend was probably the safer way to go, rather than shortchanging ourselves.
Yes.
Well, like I said, I'm not saying we need to spend that much, but,
Right. Be
the fact
prepared
that,
for it, we may.
well, look, I mean, expenses have gone up.
Yeah.
There's no reason to expect that things are gonna be cheaper next year than they are this year. So putting that down there, and then that also is a reminder, when we do the spending budget at the end of the year, as we prepare for next year, we do need to, be very cognizant of where those expenses were this year and how to kind of maybe tighten it up if necessary for next year, but, I don't even wanna say overstate, but just be prepared for the fact that that may be the number.
Right. Yeah.
Did you guys have KGC?
Yes.
You did? Okay, so I think they're paid out of contract services.
Yeah, they
Well,
are.
that's,
There's a
well,
lot.
and we did split that, cause originally it had all been coming out of the fire district, and now
Right.
we do have it split to come out of, so that's definitely part of it.
Come December, I'd like to do what like Brian does and just really make some extra line items so we
Yeah.
can.
Definitely.
I hate balling those things up like that, and then it gets confusing.
Do we wanna vote on each particular fund as we go through this, or?
I think my guess, my preference, right, would be, let's go through, cause if we decide to tweak one and then we wanna make an adjustment to offset it somewhere else, I think probably makes more sense to go
All at
through,
once.
go through all of them, make any adjustments that
Yeah.
we need to make, and then do an approval at the end.
Did we include the, bond fund in our last motion for fire?
435.
Yeah,
For the-
435.
For fire, yeah.
Okay. So I'm good with the general fund.
Yep.
I am
That's-
too.
Okay. And then,
2011,
right,
we discussed 10,000, she had 10,352.
that's actually the revenue.
Yep. Oh, no,
Mine
she
were a
has
little-
10,
She
sorry.
put 10 right on the
Yeah,
button.
yeah,
Yep.
10,
So that's
yep,
as
I'm
expected.
fine with that.
yep,
21, we have it at 110 right on the button.
yep. Oh, cemetery was 2.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Good with that?
I kept it in the same order as last time.
Yeah, I just put them in numerical order, yeah. I was ready for road and bridge.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
So for road and bridge, we estimated 600,000
Mhm.
at our last meeting, and she's got expenditures of 598.5, so that's right in there.
Go with that.
I'm good with that.
We said cemetery was 2.
We're good with
Police is 408.
Hold on, you jump.
You give police
408,
408,000.
yeah.
Permissive, 35,000.
Yep.
And, but the opioid, we don't have expenditures for that one.
I don't even know what you guys paid.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
Quite honest.
But we estimated 7,000.
I didn't put something, nothing in there for the line item?
You got revenue of
No, not
7.
yet. I think maybe that's probably just a
Just a typo.
typo would be my guess.
I looked at it, but maybe I didn't save it when I was doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know, what do you guys pay that, or who do you pay that to?
Well, that's gonna be the question coming up. We
'Cause we talked
we
about-
need to give it to someone that can use it.
Right.
Was that part of a grant?
It's the
Or was that from
settlement.
pharmaceuticals
Yeah,
stuff?
settlement.
Yeah, I think that's just a typo on there,
So
the
you want
expenditures.
7,000 on that?
On the expenditures.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, and then maybe just look at the, amount that's listed for, expected. I mean, I know it's really kinda hard to forecast that, cause it's kinda fluctuated,
Right.
but you had just listed 7,000 as the expected revenue for next year.
Okay.
So I'm guessing you just put it on
Put
the
it on the
line,
line.
not a big deal. But yeah, I would just say, yeah, just adjust the expenditures to 7,000.
Okay,
Yeah.
and leave the revenue okay then for now?
Yeah, I mean,
It's not gonna matter to the end of the year really when you do
Right.
your
Right.
calculations.
so that would be the only other that I would have to what Sherry supplied us for the proposed tax budget, is
I
the
agree.
7,000
I would
on.
agree, yeah.
Okay. Alright, I'll make a motion to approve as submitted.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Where's the township? Okay, the warrants, did you guys get a chance to look at the payment listing?
Yes.
Just now.
We're talking about the
Right here.
ones that Sherry had
Yeah.
submitted to us, okay.
Any questions? Any questions, comments, or?
The only thing I would have is on the township side, we have the, checks 37,593 and 594 for Ohio Public Entity Consortium. As we discussed earlier this year, we had, made an adjustment to the employee handbook to require, form fire in order to be eligible for benefits, and we're still covering employees that didn't do that, so I would strike those two from the approval, but other than that, I have no issues.
What's the check number again, Justin?
The last two on the township listing. but everything else looks fine.
Over here.
So what is that about?
We had, we had adjusted the township employee handbook to require all employees to fill out Form Fire in order to be eligible for healthcare. And not everybody currently covered by our healthcare, plan filled out Form Fire. So I'm of the opinion that we should not be paying for those premiums.
For their benefits?
Correct.
But we did approve the policy to continue, right?
Correct, correct.
Chris,
I have no problem with them.
all right, you making a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the payment listing for the township side.
All right, second. I'll second. All those in favor, aye?
Aye?
Aye. All opposed, same sign.
I,
Okay, and then fire.
no issues.
I don't have any issues.
I would make a motion to approve payment listings for the fire department, payment advice 474, 2025 through 5/5/7/2025 and 2010 through 2035, total amount of $78,432.93.
Second.
You say 78,000?
She's got a total payment $78,423.93.
430.
432.93.
I thought you said 474, I just
Sorry,
made sure.
sorry, 432.
As written.
Yes.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. Through the warrants. Guess we'll just go in order. Public records request fulfillment. I know we talked a little bit about that, I think, at the last meeting, and then Sherry had to leave, so she wasn't able to be in the conversation. I'm gonna bring that up and so she can give her 2 cents.
I guess, the reason that I put it on for the last meeting was just to, I know we've had some questions over, what's the best way to handle them. And everybody's a little bit different. Ultimately, the fiscal officer is the one that's responsible for the records, but there's nothing that necessitates that they be the ones that necessarily fulfill the request. So, just figuring out how we can maybe help assist in making sure that she has the support she needs to fulfill the request, and then also to keep some visibility. I mean, the one thing, and I know right now there's kind of a lot of people kind of helping to try to make those happen, but one of the things that Laura did really well with those public records requests was anytime a public records request would come in, she would acknowledge the receipt of the request, copy the 3 of us, so that there was that visibility, and then also when there was, when the request was fulfilled, if it was a, hey, here it is, she would copy the 3 of us as well, and then also, or it was a, hey, your thumb drive's ready, if it was something that needed to be stored on a device, but at least that way, not that I have any interest in micromanaging the process, but I know, if you guys are anything like I am, like, we get requests sometimes too that either come to us or people that'll ask, hey, do you know what's going on with X, Y, or Z, and instead of always having to say, go talk to Sherry, it can be like, hey, here's where we're at, so-and-so's working on it, it's being fulfilled, or hey, it was fulfilled, you should have seen it. So I know, since the transition, we've had some requests that have gotten filled, that I think everybody's trying to do the right thing, like Kristen's getting them, stuff like that, because maybe what's the expectation so that, the 3 of us are copied on those as well, because I don't think anybody's ever probably set that expectation for Kristen, so it's not fair to ask her to do something we haven't asked her to do, so
Right.
that's kind of where I wanted the discussion to go, and also, how much Sherry wanted to be kind of managing that process, or if she wanted to delegate it some.
Maybe we ought to jump down for a second to fiscal officer assistant.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
sure,
who that-
and those all 3 kind of.
Yeah, they all
so-
kind of go
Right.
together, I know.
So Ty came to me and asked me if we were talking about an assistant, and at first I was like, I don't know if I can keep him, I don't think I can keep somebody busy enough to be here. And me a certain amount of hours or whatever, and Kristen has been a great help since I started, and I said, if I have to have one, and I do need one, I could use one, especially because of the ridiculous public requests that come in on a daily basis. If I'm gonna have one, I wanna get her, because she's already here, there's no sense in hiring somebody else. She's here, she knows it, I mean, today we talked on the phone, she got on my computer, did a couple things for me, so if I had to say I want one, then I want it to be her.
You cool with that, Kristen?
Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing, I'm already there, and like, that's like the request that came in that wanted like a video, and I'm like, well, I would have to get that anyway.
Right.
Like, I would be like, kinda cutting out the middleman, like, I'd have to give that to that person.
It makes perfect sense
Yeah.
to me.
So, no, I have no problem helping out doing it.
My recommendation when we were talking to him, I said, well, if you were considering hiring somebody and you're expecting her to do more than you're already paying for, I think you should throw her a couple bones more, maybe, since she's doing extra work that she wasn't hired to do in the first place, and it's still cheaper than hiring another body, per se, you know? But that's up to you guys, I think that's only fair, if you're gonna pay somebody to do it more than, you know, it's gonna cost more to hire somebody than just to give her a couple extra bucks an hour, or whatever the case is, for doing it, cause it's a lot of work, it's ridiculous.
Well,
It was.
and I was gonna say, I think that's my first question to you then is, how much, in the past, we did it in 2024, we didn't do it this year because, the former fiscal officer wasn't really interested, in ever doing it, but 2024, we had approved, an assistant fiscal officer, I believe it was 20 hours a week, I wanna say. Yeah, I mean, authorization to hire a fiscal assistant approved at $21 an hour for up to 20 hours a week. How many, I guess that would be the question, like, how many hours?
Above and beyond the normal, because right now you average, what, 24-ish
A week?
a week?
Like, yeah, about.
Yeah.
Cause with the extra safety council in these meetings and everything, yeah, about.
I would have no problem increasing. We'd have to be careful about approaching the full-time status thing, then it becomes a.
Right, as long as she's not at 32, and I don't see it ever getting that high anyway, and I don't think she wants to work a whole lot.
No.
And it's not just necessarily a 32.
No, but
Kicks
like
in, it
even
would
there
be
was
an
two that
average.
came in this morning, and I spent like 2 hours and we still didn't even get it filled, cause I'm like, I don't know how we're gonna find this information, yeah.
So you're, just to make sure that I understand what you're saying, you're just wanting to approve her up to X amount of hours and keep the hourly the same, is that?
Yeah,
your
well, I mean, I kind of feel like it would be almost impossible to track
Oh,
separate hours of the day, you know, oh, hey, I'm an admin to it right now, or not, switch hats to the fiscal assistant with a different rate, I mean, I don't know how we do that.
Well, that, and I think, you know, you kind of started down the only concern I have is it has absolutely nothing to do with whether Kristen can do the job or whether Sherry should have the choice of doing it. I guess my concern is there's a reason that the fiscal assistant, like the way that it's spelled out in the Ohio Revised Code, is we authorize the salary, but it's
They choose the
it's
person.
her choice, so.
It's absolutely your choice, Sheriff.
But when you have the same person that reports to one elected office,
Right.
but also the other three, what happens when Sherry gives a directive that's potentially different than the directive that one or two or the three of us give? It puts Kristen in a pretty difficult bind of, well, do I do what Sherry wants me to do?
So,
And then risk.
I have a clarifying question, so you said that last meeting, and I was under the assumption when I was hired, I was never told that I didn't report to a fiscal, like, I was told that when I was trained that I help everyone. So, I mean, if that's not what it is, then I need to, I
Right, and
wouldn't
that's,
need
and
to
that's what
know
I'm trying
that.
to,
Right,
right,
that's what it is.
Okay,
And that's why, like, and I tried to probably unsuccessfully make that point at the last meeting, is that, you know, a lot of this comes down to making sure that we are setting the correct expectations for the employees, because if we're not doing that, then we can't expect them to do what we ask if we haven't clearly defined that,
I don't
so.
think any of the three of us have a problem with you helping whoever the fiscal officer.
well, yeah, that's what I was under the assumption I was hired, that I help, if they asked me to do something, that I was their administrator
she was helping Laura.
Yeah, I mean,
More
Laura
than you
asked
guys
me to
even
help
know.
a bunch of stuff, so I didn't know that. I was never told that.
Right, well,
Okay.
and that's where, you know, I think some of that comes down to in the past, maybe the communication between the 4 elected officials, because, you know, I had that conversation with Laura a couple of times about the fact that I felt that she should hire an assistant because the workload, you know what I mean, like, because of those things that ultimately wound up being some of the reasons she cited for not wanting to stay. But I do think that it should be somebody that has no worry, like, that knows who they report to, right? Like, and the administrative assistant, while in theory sounds good that they should help everybody, and I'm not even saying that they should ever take the approach of, well, if the fiscal officer asks me to do something, you know, because they need a hand for a second, I have to tell them no. That's not what I'm getting at, but if we make the hiring and firing decisions for the administrative assistant in the office, and the fiscal officer makes the hiring and firing decision for the fiscal assistant, there's a reason that the Ohio Revised Code separates those types of things. If you put the same person into that, everything's hunky-dory as long as there are no issues. The first time there's any type of internal conflict between the 4 elected officials, Kristen's stuck in the middle of it, or anybody that's serving both of those, that would be my only concern. Clearly, from a financial standpoint, it makes great sense, and it's efficient. And I'm certainly not gonna say there's no way I would let it happen, but I do think there are some potential conflicts that could arise should we not all 4 be on the same page on something.
That's a good point.
Was Sherry never officially Laura's fiscal assistant?
I think that was another, well, I think that's another one of those ones where
I thought she was.
well, right, and
Okay.
I think it was because we never had this exact
It was-
conversation, and
It was the same situation.
the type
Okay.
of, we had some issues, you know, and it's not even necessarily the things because anybody, it's just a tough position to put somebody in, that's all, not anybody particularly being at fault of anything. We've all worked in a place where we've had multiple bosses, and I can't remember that ever working out well.
Right.
Well, welcome to government.
Well, there is that too.
I mean, my
I
initial
don't see it
thought
being an
is,
issue, to be
let's,
honest.
Okay.
let's try to make it work, but are there any things that you can think of that we can put in to, I can't think of any, I see where you're going
can't
with this.
either, but I understand it, but I can't.
Well, if you guys fire her, I'll just hire her for the
Well, and that's,
So that way.
and like I said, it's not even that we can't start out there, and then you may find that Kristen's, if we're having trouble with the hours piece of it, then the decision has to be made of whether
Yeah.
we're gonna consider one full-time admin, or whether we do wanna split it into 2, so, you know, it's probably the right play short-term, I just think, you know, if we're not careful about the way we do it, you know, we're potentially asking for issues down the road, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, so we've got, are those, minutes from our organizational meeting?
This was the one from 24 where we, and I just wanted it as an example, because I knew we had authorized it, I just didn't remember
Right.
what the exact were, and I don't know, I'm pretty sure when we hired Kristen for, you know, or when we redid it at the beginning of this year, we limited it to 28 hours.
That was my question.
Yeah, I'm sure we kept it at 28 just to be on the
And
safe side.
you rarely hit 28.
I think the only time I was close was the week before the picnic,
Mhm.
when, you know, I worked the whole picnic, checking everybody,
Mhm.
like all that. Like, when there's a huge event is when I'm
That's-
only close to hitting the max.
And it can be occasional, but it's when you see a steady.
Right.
You know, if it's an every week occasion, then it's a problem.
So I would think that we could increase her maximum hours to 32 hours a week, and fulfill dual role of admin assistant and fiscal assistant.
You wanna go anywhere?
No, they're just saying if I need to.
I know, but okay, but my question was giving her some more money at the end of the day too, for doing the extra work. That was I didn't think she really wanted to work much more hours, cause she has a life out of here. She's only here 3 days a week too, I'm sure she doesn't wanna work the other 2. That was my only recommendation, solely up to what you guys wanna do on that day, but. I mean, right now, she's already doing it, I guess, so.
I wouldn't have a problem with it. The only thing is,
next year, what Sherry's saying is just bump her rate.
Oh,
Across
just
the board.
oh,
Even if it's a buck or two, it's still, at the end of the day, it's the taxpayers' money, and it's still cheaper than hiring another body at $20-some an hour, at 20-some hours a week, so. That was my thinking behind the whole reason of, you know, you're asking her to do more than what you're paying her to do, so. I mean, it wouldn't really be that hard to track how much time, I mean, when she gets into a public record, believe me, it takes her a while to do it, I mean, if you wanted it broke down by hour that way, we could pay her more to do that.
no, I think that would be
That's a
nice.
little
No,
more
yeah,
complicated,
right.
but, I mean, at the end of the day, you're asking her to do more for the same amount of money. So, I mean, I don't know if you would do it, but we'll go back to I don't work for free thing. We'll have that conversation soon, but, so yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'd be of the opinion of raising the hour cap for now, and we can always revisit the pay rate later, but given what we've, you know, budgeted for the year, that's what we set the yearly budget off of
Right.
as is, so we're already gonna be increasing that by approving additional hours.
Yeah.
I would lean towards leaving the rate where it is for now, but we can
I
always
agree,
revisit
yeah,
that.
I mean, we come to the end of the
Yeah.
year here, next
Exactly.
year's a new year. So I'll make the motion to increase, Kristen Rowley's, weekly maximum to 32 hours a week work, as dual, serving as, admin assistant as well as fiscal officer assistant.
Second? I'll second.
Oh, I thought you were, sorry.
No,
You were
I'll
asking for a
second.
second.
All
Alright.
those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye, pose same sign. Okay. Good. All right, Sherry, back to the public record request fulfillment. You've experienced some of it, and you can kind of see how it comes and goes or whatever. Do you want, I guess my question to you, do you want to be responsible and, you know, I mean, between you and Kristen, getting them ready and then sending them out and copying the trustees on them? You want
Yeah,
to keep
I
them
mean-
in your office, I guess?
yeah, I mean, the way it's running right now is fine, but on Justin's point, like, as far as, if you guys get a public records request that we're not copied on, you gotta make sure that we get it too.
Oh,
As
yeah.
well, you know, cause him and he asked about that last week, and I asked Kristen to do that, like, when it comes in to report to the person that we got it, and then
Mhm.
if you guys aren't CC'd on it, to make sure you guys are copied into it somehow, so far it's been working, it's just, we've been running into a few snags on some of the requests that, have been coming in. So, we're working on it, but I think the ways it is right now, it's just fine. I'm gonna give her the keys, so if I'm not here, she'll have the keys to get in there, and she knows where everything's at, so.
Hey, she's jumping the gun, cause that was so.
Yeah.
She's,
Well,
Sure,
so
I
what,
Gotta
So
get out of
what
here or
we
what?
so what we're doing is, there's that little file thing on my desk, and I was printing out the record request, so we have a paper copy of it as well. And then, there was already an Excel sheet of like, when the request was made, who made it, what it was, like, and then we could keep that updated, you know, when it was fulfilled and all that. So if you guys ever need to go and see like, oh, where is it, and I'm not there, or she's not there, you can look in that little file, to see, where it's at, like, just cause I was making notes on the paper, like, this part was found, this part was not found, we don't know where that is, like, you know, those kind of things.
And actually, what we could do is either keep it on a thumb drive, and then if they wanted to look at it, they can plug it into their laptop and look at it as a.
Well, that's what I had, like, even the one Margie's that I had, everything that we found is on the thumb drive in a,
No, I'm talking about the whole,
Clip
the whole file, the whole Excel
the
file.
spreadsheet.
oh,
That way
we
if you
could
just-
share it on,
Yeah, just leave it somewhere in your office where if they need to look.
well, no,
at
we
it.
could share it on, what's the thing on here?
OneDrive,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You knew what I meant.
we can share it internally that way, but
Kristen Drive.
aren't you, you're, Sherry, just so I clarify, you're talking about when we're making records available for somebody in the public?
I'm just talking, yeah, I'm talking about the Excel spreadsheet, that way.
No, just for us.
Just for us.
Oh,
for
just us
internal.
internally, gotcha,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah,
way, if it's on a thumb drive, every time it's updated, that way, if you wanted to look at it. you
Oh,
can
you're
look
talking
at
about the log, the public
The
records
log,
request
yeah,
log.
yeah,
Because
Gotcha.
that's a public record
Yeah, yeah.
in and of itself. I'm
Yes,
It
not
is, yeah,
independent
cause it
that-
already is a public record, cause we already public recorded it to
Yep.
somebody.
The fiscal officer probably ought to be the gatekeeper. I
Yes.
still think it's best that requests come through the fiscal officer.
Well, yeah, I mean, I
She
do.
can, tap Kristen to help out any of us can help out with it, and there shouldn't be a problem with that, but I think maybe it should go back to
Yes,
Correct, that's
Kristen
what I just
for
said
delivery,
too.
recording it.
definitely goes out through us, so that way we have.
Like
it
I say,
recorded.
here's everything,
Right.
Yeah,
and then she'll
and
make
it
sure
doesn't,
it's all good.
and it doesn't happen very often, but occasionally you'll get, like, I got one right after I got in office, that wanted like an email or something like that, and I mean, rarely do we get a records request that's that specific or that narrow that we have, and I just got the email, I copied Laura, and sent it to the person that had asked for it, but to your point, that way it does get recorded
Yeah,
on the log, or do you want us, like, we won't respond to anybody, we'll just funnel everything through you?
No, I
which-
mean, if you're fulfilling it, that's fine, but just make sure it comes to us, so she
Yeah,
can
yeah.
get it, one of us can get it documented in the
Perfect,
spreadsheet, just to
Okay.
make sure it stays, cause there's stuff in there, her and I were talking today, that she had fulfilled for Laura that are not on that spreadsheet. And she remembers doing before.
That I know, there's people that I know requested things, and their name's nowhere to be found on it, I'm like, I know they requested stuff, it's not on there.
do we still have maybe like the emails or the log of where they?
It would, I don't know,
Probably
it would be through, it
Yeah,
would
I
be through
think
the
you
fiscal
can search that.
email.
And I think, one, again, I can't say for sure, but like, in conversations that I had had with Laura when she was doing those, she did a pretty good job of keeping folders on the computer somewhere, if you can find them, of copies of whatever she had given, like if somebody requested, you know, whatever it was, right? 32 different documents, she had all those 32 documents on
It
them.
wasn't the documents, it was just the spreadsheet of who requested and when.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is she went even further in that, like,
Mhm.
on there, she then would have a file on her computer that
And I
showed,
started
if,
with
some,
that.
if somebody asked, like, what did you give that person?
Yes.
She had a copy of it as well to back up, to be able to prove, cause if I'm not mistaken, that is potentially one of the audit pieces, when they do our audit is, you know, how are you handling your public records requests? Can I see examples of what you fulfilled, what you didn't fulfill, if you had things that you declined or didn't submit, that kind of stuff, so that's why that log is important, but I think the plan that they've presented is,
I think so,
Solid
I
handle it.
kind of think that, I still think that maybe the fiscal officer should provide the public record request, instead of one
Yeah.
of us. I think maybe if we help fulfill it, we could give it to Kristen and or Sherry.
I think as long as it's under her guidance, if
yeah,
it's her or her
record it
assistant.
and then send it
Okay.
out. Yeah, I'm good with that too. Alright, good, good. Alright, let's go back to what, Sherry said about the key. So we're gonna have to readjust the key policy then.
I don't wanna belabor the point, but I do, I guess, have just one question, because that policy was put in place at the end of December, I think it was December 4th, 2023. The two of you voted on it. It was at the request of the former fiscal officer, and it very clearly stated that the fiscal officer shall be the only person with a key to the records room. So, what was going on at the time, because obviously I wasn't a trustee, what was going on at the time that, you know, made this the request and what you guys approved?
That's Laura's record room, and I'm fine with her wanting to keep the key, but she was here a lot more, I think, at the beginning of her tenure than towards the end. So it was a lot easier to get stuff from her, but nonetheless, I mean, just ask her for what you're looking for and she gets it for us, so I didn't have an issue with it. The only thing, just to go back to, you know, when Kristen had the key, she had it for less than 24 hours, and then I got it from her that same day that I knew, and that was the day that Laura resigned anyway. But so, that being said, I still think the fiscal, officer, that's their room, that they need to, they're in control of those records, so. I would hate to give I mean, if it were me, I would want to give my keys willy-nilly to people if I'm responsible.
And that's ultimately where I think it goes back to the conversation we just had a few minutes ago about the fact that, you know, I'd be a lot more comfortable with it if her assistant answered only to her. You know, but now it's you know, again, if Sherry says nobody's in there, but one of us tells Kristen that it's something different.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
So this was the public record room key policy based on what Laura wanted?
Well, the way she presented it,
Based on what Sherry wants, she don't care who goes in that room, so whoever has the key, she's got the key, whether you ask her to find something or I ask her to find something. There's nothing in that room that is so blatantly not a public record. So, I mean,
that's,
there's nothing in there I'm worried about losing, so if she needs to get in there and you need her to find something, I have no problem with her going in there. That was Laura's problem, I don't know what her problem was
well, the
with it,
reason,
but
well, it was presented because the township recognizes, right from the policy, the township recognizes that there's a need to balance the accessibility of records with the need to provide a safe and secure environment for them,
true,
okay?
but you're all trustees.
Right, and there are files in the records room that are missing files that should be there. And we've had this problem in the past. So clearly this was put in place to limit the number of people that had access to it to the only person who's ultimately responsible for those. Now, that doesn't mean that it involved anybody at this table or anybody that's currently involved, but the number of keys and the amount of access that was allowed to that room has called into question whether we have a full and complete record of the township's business. That was my understanding of why this policy was put in place. It's why, even though I was an incoming trustee, and on a certain hand, it felt like it was a bit of a slight because that wasn't the way that the policy was before, I agree with it. It makes perfect sense to do this. And as I said, I would be a little bit more apt to be okay with a policy change if the key was still under the complete control of the fiscal officer. But again, having an employee that's filling dual roles, I think changes that dynamic a little bit. So again, if you guys wanna make a change, that's fine. Yeah. If you wanna make a change, that's fine, but I would be of the opinion that we keep it the same way. And I know that makes things a little more difficult on Sherry, but until we can find a better solution, I think that's the way it needs to stay.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, it just takes, I'm only down here to see her maybe once a week, so.
I mean, we could change this right now, or we could vote to change this and say the fiscal officer shall be the only person. We could change that to the fiscal officer or their designee shall be the only person or persons.
No, and we can vote on it, and you can make the motion, and if the two of you agree, then that's fine, but I would not change the policy.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Mhm.
To just sum it up, if you vote that the trustees have access to the room and keys, should there be an issue where documents disappear like they have in the past, that they're not found, ultimately it's gonna come back to Sherry, right? So I think, as a resident, it should be one person's decision. If the trustees have a request, it should go through Sherry. That way, if there is an issue, I mean, I think we went through this the last meeting, it's who did this, who's blaming who, you have to narrow it down to one accountable person. That's just my opinion.
Well, and it would be me at the end of the day, but I'm giving the keys to my assistant, and she's the only other one allowed in there. If they want something, it has to go through her or me.
Right.
I'm not giving them keys. That wasn't what I was getting at. I was getting at, she needs the keys, because she's doing most of the work, and I'm not gonna run back and forth from Spencer to Lafayette every day to give her a set of keys. I just said I'm not doing it. I think
But
that's
it
absurd.
would then go back to you and,
Right, only her and I will have the
Right.
keys, and if they want something, it has to go through one of us. We'll both have to sit, that we're the only two that have them.
and it eliminates any accusations
If there's a
of
file that's not in
anybody
there
else.
now, then that's not on us, because it wasn't there before we started it, so.
Yeah, why don't we table this? We don't need to make any changes today, in my opinion. But maybe future meetings, we can tweak this, or someone can vote to tweak it, and,
Yeah.
you know, Sherry can come up with maybe better verbiage.
So, well, how are you gonna handle public records request right now then? Without her being able to get into
We'll
Zoom?
just wait till you get there,
Okay.
they'll just take longer.
You wanna work on Saturdays? We can talk about that.
No.
All right, weather siren.
We discussed it at the last meeting, we just, I think everybody was in agreement that it's something that we need to do, that we wanted to do. We just weren't sure where we were gonna appropriate the funds and pay for it. Make sure I got the right one. There, here we go. Installing a new federal AC two-way controller program to work with the media counting and learning system and repeat back, so we'll get the constant testing. Basically bring the, emergency siren up to speed, and our quote is for $35,579.54, which we agreed should come out of the township side of the things. So we're gonna need to do an appropriation for whichever fund we wanna pay it out of, and
Right.
then authorize that, so.
Chief, who's responsible, what party is actually responsible for doing the testing? EMA?
EMA, but they're not responsible for doing the testing, the township's responsible for doing the testing. So if you ask EMA, they'll say, no, the township is responsible for your own siren.
Right, and since it's on the township complex, well, we own, the township owns this building too,
Right.
so, that's why.
They facilitate it with the sheriff's
Right.
department, and it's nice to have a repeating siren where you know it works, but we have never had that, so.
Right.
Where are we at here? So,
I didn't see anywhere in the budget this year where you could fulfill that $35,000 now.
no, we have money that we didn't appropriate the full certificate.
Right.
I know what I'm saying.
Yeah, so we would have to do an appropriation to the
You
fund.
have to amend your original certificate.
Correct. We shouldn't have amended the original certificate.
That's how you do it. You have to, if you're spending more than, if you don't have it, unless you have it in another line item, I don't see $35,000 floating around anywhere in there. So if you're going to spend more money than you're saying you already are, say you're at 300,000, but now you wanna spend 335, is your certificate big enough to cover that, first of all?
Yeah.
Okay, so then just, alright, so you're.
Yeah, we
Just unappropriated.
we left money unappropriated
Alright, now
off
do
of the
you
certificate.
guys do that by legislation, or, cause that's how we've always done it by legislation,
The appropriation?
increase events
Yeah.
work.
Yeah,
Who draws that up for you?
We just do it as,
we would do it as a simple motion.
right. Let's see here. We are looking. I would just do it off the general fund, and, I don't know if we need a separate line item for it. We had under, site improvement. Cause we've done that in the past.
Right. What's their timeline, chief, to that?
Probably a few months,
Yeah, and
and
that's what.
depending on the weather and when we pull the trigger and say we're doing this, so, it could be, if the weather goes bad in the next few months, it could be delayed,
Right.
so.
So we wanna get the order in sooner.
Depends on if they need the other thing is, depends on if they need to put a new pole in it and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I was trying to look for the line item for that pole. Maybe they don't wanna use our old pole.
Is that
No, new poles are included,
Yeah,
so up at the top of the quote says, solar powered siren, new tornado siren installed, solar power is included, new poles are included, new control radio, battery mode, alarming history.
If you look under the general fund, we have town halls, memorial buildings and ground, and you have improvement of site. 100, 120, 730, 1025.
And
We could appropriate the money to it and
we're,
approve the expenditure.
and we're projecting a carryover right now of
Yeah.
390, or I'm sorry, 360.
So unless somebody has an issue with that or a better area to come out of, that would be my recommendation.
I would agree with that.
Alright, so, let's see here, it's.
call it 36.
120. There's nothing with this estimate that we should really worry about too much in the way of an overage, right? They should be pretty,
No, I think it's a pretty current estimate, and
okay.
just he'll order all the stuff as soon as I tell him to.
Is a new pole
Totally.
required, or is it possible?
No, but it's included anyway,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
And it
They're
obviously
gonna
makes more sense.
they'll evaluate the pole that, and I think
So I would make the motion, to appropriate, 36,000, to amend the appropriations for 2025, 36,000 to fund 1,120, 730, 1025, and approve the expenditure, for the purchase of a new weather siren for the town hall,
Per the VASU.
per the Vastu Communications quote.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay.
And then, since we have that, we also had, mobile radios. Chief, you wanna give a quick rundown?
Yeah, so two of our vehicles have never had mobiles. The car and the tanker has an old UHF radio, that's obsolete at this point. So we need two mobiles, to cover those vehicles. I think it's paramount in this day and age to have a backup to a portable radio. All I have right now in my vehicle is a portable. If the portable doesn't find an antenna or find a zone, then
You lose
I
communication.
lose communication, so.
And for both of those radios, the quote from Vastu Communications is for 6,852.10
Total.
total, correct,
Yep.
for both.
We
And that's
have,
with installation as well.
right, we have funds in the Marks grant
Yes.
line item for 13,200.
That's where it would come out of.
Yes,
Correct.
yeah.
So I would make the motion to approve, purchase of two new mobile radios from Vastu Communications for 6,852.10.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. That hits them all. No executive session, motion to adjourn.
I would move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.